Hello, everyone, and we are back to the MTW podcast on this Oscar weekend. And joining me is longtime listener and occasional participant, Robbie Heitzman, back in from Syracuse Live.
Yes, thank you, internet friends.
I guess not really live, it's like you come in to New York, you just kind of like, yeah.
I'm alive here.
You're alive here, good. Excellent. All right, folks, we have a nice chunk to get to, and we are going to get right to it. This is the Oscar prediction show. This is also going to be Robbie and me's top 10 of the 2015. I posted up my top 10 a long time ago. If you go on my Facebook, it's technically top 15 of 15, but I wanted to wait until the right time to share the list with all you people listening. And since Robbie is here, and since the Oscars is upon us pretty soon, we're going to do that right now, actually. Alright, so what we'll do is, I'm going to run through my 15 through 11. I'll run through like my 15 through 11, just because those are technically like my ranked honorable mentions, basically. Right? And so I'll do that, and then once we get to 10, Robbie and I will kind of trade forces here. Now, Robbie, you have a top 10?
I do have a top 10. I couldn't, and it was hard to put together. I feel like one thing I want to mention right off the bat in this podcast is this was kind of a disappointing year.
This, folks, I'm going to have to concur with Robbie. I was very happy with the list, but this was this was not the biggest and best year for summer stuff, and really for like award stuff. I mean, there were some good movies, but nothing has compared to what we've gotten in the past. So, but hopefully this list will reflect at least some enthusiasm for what was good. So here's what we'll do here. My number 15, and again, this is all on Facebook. My number 15 movie was Bridge of Spies. My number 14 movie was The Martian. My number 13 movie was a good small film called Kimiko the Treasure Hunter. So Marvin Van Buren, if you're listening, you'll like that. Number 12, another Marvin movie, Mad Max Fury Road. And number 11, kind of rounding out the top, like the bottom 5 here, is what I thought was the best movie of the summer, in my opinion, my favorite big summer movie, and that was Straight Outta Compton. So those are the bottom 5. Bridge of Spies, The Martian, Kimiko, Mad Max, and Straight Outta Compton. So those are just like 15 through 11, the bottom list. So now, Robbie, as our guest, will you take us away with your number 10, please?
Yes, my number 10 is one of the rare movies on this list that I both thought was good and enjoyed. All of these movies are good. This is the best of 2015.
Yeah, actually, I don't even think I know this tech. I don't even know this yet, so I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah. Number 10 for me is The Martian.
The Martian. Okay.
I mean, I obviously have a soft spot for space travel movies. Those of us who, who remember the last podcast, I think, like, most of my top 10 was all science fiction movies. But
I believe so.
So this just barely snuck in over Spectre.
Okay. So what I thought worked about The Martian, funny enough, is that I actually think it's one of the better it's probably the best sort of big budget of quality, the best quality big budget movie that kind of came out last year. That I thought at least had like story wise, direction wise, and I thought it had great humor, and it felt like a good adventure story, but also felt like a preservation story. It was like a solo, like a man versus a man on his own type of movie.
Almost a man versus wilderness kind of movie.
Exactly, it does feel that, and I think Matt Damon embodied that role very well. If you go online, there's actually a really funny thing that Matt Damon always has to get saved in movies, and they came up with like 5 examples of where he actually has to like get saved, and one of them was Good Will Hunting because being saved from himself, I guess. So.
Okay, that's a stretch.
So yes, that was pretty much it. But I thought really funny. It felt like it kind of had that Interstellar feel, but this felt a little more scaled back and a little more tightened. what it wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, the Interstellar was like I don't want to say a bigger movie, but their scope and like what they were going for was great.
Was much greater, but I did think that but I thought The Martian excelled more when it wanted to. I really dug this.
Yeah.
Did you like this more than Interstellar?
I enjoyed it more than Interstellar.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had more fun watching it because Interstellar can get a little like preachy and dragging at sometimes.
Yeah.
But, I thought this was great. I kind of feel like I want to compare it to Apollo 13.
Okay, I'll be honest. I've never seen that.
It's good. It's one of those movies you can just watch on I would give it a Saturday, Sunday.
Sure.
I mean, it's a good movie, but one other thing, because you mentioned, like it's got nice script, good directing, good acting. But the other thing that I want to mention is it had a very nice set design.
Oh my god! Like how they made Mars look and
the ship that the other crew members were on.
Yeah, that looked pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was a nice looking movie. Just all around a lot of fun. You can tell like a lot of real work went into it. So yeah, it deserves a place on my top 10.
I think it's one of the better Ridley Scott films I've seen in quite a while, in recently. It's one of his best things in recent years. So, my number 10, which is what we talked about yesterday, was and it's Spike Lee's Chirac.
Yes.
10. That was my number 10. What worked, Chirac, as we mentioned yesterday, it's probably the most excitement I've seen coming from a Spike Lee project in about a decade.
Yeah.
It's funny. It shites on a real problem about the violence in Chicago, but Spike Lee kind of almost makes it like a little, like this. He takes the Greek play because it comes from the Greek play Aristophanes.
By Aristophanes.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
It's called Lysistrata.
Oh yes, sorry, Lysistrata by Aristophanes. Yes, I'm sorry. So he takes that format. And what I actually thought was actually really clever because it's a way to stop. It's a way for the women to try and band together to actually stop the men from fighting. So, I thought it worked out really well that way. I like the iambic pentameter they spoke in. I thought it did kind of feel like a big grand musical. I got like vibes from School Days, which is like one of the first movies he's done. I'm not sure if it's. I don't remember if it was the very first. No, excuse me. She's Gotta Have It was the very first. Although, I did see senses of She's Gotta Have It in there too. So it felt like School Days meets She's Gotta Have It. You could sprinkle some Do the Right Thing in there, but it did feel like this crazy big Spike Lee kind of like adventure piece or whatever. But it was really good.
Oh yeah, agreed. Spike Lee is one of those like. I don't even like this word that much. Auteur directors, who's like when he's making a movie, like almost for himself, before everybody. But like when he's like in control of it, you can tell he's got this particular style that's really hard to quantify. But in this, it comes across. It's like a poetic fever dream.
Yes,
like there's not a lot of logic.
Fever dream's a good word for it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's not a lot of logic to it. You can kind of follow. You can follow what's going on, but it makes that kind of like dream logic sense. Good performances. I think the script was great. I mean, writing an iambic pentameter must have been a huge constraint.
Yeah, and a lot of commitment and good focus from the cast. What did you think of Nick Cannon? I didn't ask you that last time.
I think he was... I was kind of surprised. There was a point where the movie went away from him for a good hour. And when it came back, I was like, oh, right.
I thought it was solid enough. I thought he held his own.
He was serviceable. He filled the role and didn't do anything like wow, but he didn't let us down.
Yeah, he didn't take anything from it. But I did think Tiana Paris, who was like the main female character, I thought she was. Well, I think it was in Dear White People.
That's where I recognized.
Yeah, she was in Dear White People. So this was. So I can't say this was like her first role, but it's probably the first thing I've seen her starring in. I thought she did. I thought she did excellent. So it was very, very good.
Yeah.
Very, very. It was funny. It was entertaining. It was insightful. It had all the Spike Lee tropes that you want. It was the best possible Spike Lee movie. I'm not saying it's the best one to date, but it's the best one in a long time. So hopefully we get that sort of resurgence again from him, because that movie felt like a resurgence film.
If I were to correct you on one thing though,
Yes.
Inside Man and the Old Boy remake are Spike Lee movies. This was a Spike Lee joint.
This did feel like a Spike Lee.
I don't even think he said, like, I'm pretty sure it came up, like, directed by, not a Spike Lee joint. But.
I think, I have to look into, I know the Old Boy remake definitely was, like, that wasn't a Spike Lee joint, but I thought Inside Man was.
Well, I'm not saying, like, what they chose to put the word joint onto.
But the feeling is more important.
Yeah.
And yes, Chirac absolutely feels like a stamped, approved Spike Lee joint.
Yeah. I'm
And it was awesome. I'm so glad he came out with it.
Also, special mention of John Cusack, who did a really good job in this movie, I think.
That the priest, he was really good. He was really good as the priest, and and I like that you said you didn't think he was actually in the movie, so you thought it was like a random cameo.
Yeah.
But definitely, Chirac will be my number 10. So, let's go to number 9, sir.
Number 9 for me is Hateful Eight.
Oh, okay.
I know this didn't get...
This was not on my 10.
Yeah, this didn't get as much love as some of his past movies done.
It did, yeah. I did notice it felt a little less received.
Quentin Tarantino is one of those, another one of those auteurs, I feel like, where he's got to have, so much control of his movie that... Like, Hateful Eight, I feel like one major thing that could have fixed it is paring it down. They could have dropped a good 20 minutes from the movie.
That has felt like the Tarantino thing for quite a while now. It seems like after Kill Bill, Tarantino was just like, you know what, F you, I'm just gonna, like, you're not gonna try to restrain me anymore. And then pretty much from Kill Bill on, it was just like Tarantino. Like, it was like 120% Tarantino, and if you try to take anything out of it, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Because I did notice, it did feel like, it's the first 3 films with Reservoir Dogs, and with Pulp Fiction, and with Jackie Brown. That felt like, and maybe because it wasn't just him, like, I think Pulp Fiction, somebody else is actually credited as the story part of it too. I believe that's Roger Avery. So I did notice in those early films, it felt like he did have a little more restrictions that he had to follow, but it worked though. It worked sometimes. Sometimes less is more. But like, but with Inglourious Basterds and with Django, and now with Hateful Eight, that just feels like these, like, like it's almost like everything feels like this grand, like, house opus, like this big grand Tarantino, like, experience now. Everything's like 3 hours long, and
opus is a good word. Like, he keeps trying to almost top himself.
Yes, he does.
And get like this bigger and big, like, we got the Inglourious Basterds, which was a great movie, but also mainly focused on, like, the like one main character, a smaller thing. Then you got Django, that was a little bigger, and this, while it is just centered on one room, it's this big rolling character interaction between these 8 characters. Although I want to say something though.
Yes.
The right from the outset, I'm not talking about anything that happens later or right from the outset when it's all the people in the room, like when the story's finally starting to get rolling after like an hour, there's 9 people there. And I can't tell you how much that bugged me.
But because there's nothing, I guess nothing can rhyme with 9 too well.
Yeah, and this was his 8th movie. It like right before Hateful Eight came up. It said the 8th film.
The 8th film, which I believe, which is probably why he even started doing it. And when you actually look at the film, there's almost like very sort of like these meta storytelling tropes, like just in terms of like with how certain characters are written. Because I don't want to go into spoilers or anything if anyone hasn't really seen the movie, but it felt like the movie felt like an account of his own storytelling techniques.
Yeah,
and
that's a fair point.
And as a play, I tell you, man, as a play, I would love to see it as a play because it felt like one of those good like play movies. And even though it was just kind of him writing, I thought there was some really solid build up, some really tense music. There's some really strong Tarantino-esque filmmaking here, and I do like. What I thought was entertaining about it was because it's all done in this small way, or because it's all like one location. There is more room for like character interaction and stuff. And I think that makes some of the best Tarantino. That's some of the best Tarantino ingredients is the dialogue. So if you're in a position where you have all these main characters kind of sitting in that way, or that's just how they're kind of placed, I think that leaves a lot of room for some good dialogue. I think the Samuel Jackson character really does the best job of kind of heading this sort of like excuse me, I'm trying to get to the best possible thought. Like the Samuel Jackson character felt the most representative of Tarantino in this sort of universe, in my opinion.
That makes sense. He was definitely, if not the main character, he was kind of the one that tied the other 8 together. Mm-hmm.
And it just shows you that Sam Jackson, I think he's probably one of the best actors, in my opinion, for Tarantino writing, because I think he just kind of really, he says it, I feel like Sam Jackson says it with the same sort of insanity and kind of bravado that Tarantino's writing it, so I think it matches well.
Yeah, their kind of style, or at least Sam Jackson knows how to emulate,
it's almost
bring
like he
his
knew
style to life.
It's almost like he knew how he was writing, how he was feeling when it was being written for him.
Yeah.
So he had to try and match that. I thought excellent supporting cast.
One thing I do want to say, because I feel like this actor got kind of glossed over. My favorite actor in the movie was Walton Goggins.
Walton Goggins, yes. He was actually one of the standout parts. I thought you were going to say that, actually. But no, he was so good and funny and creepy and just kind of slimy. But I thought he was awesome. I thought, you know what happens with a movie that has so many supporting players? You have so many people that get glossed over. Yeah. Or that you just get overlooked. I thought Jennifer Jason Leigh was quite good.
I thought she was fine. I don't really see the
the big all the hype that's surrounding her. I just thought as she's the reason character. She's as I thought she made it pretty interesting, and I thought she did a that awesome
last
job.
Scene she was in was really good.
Yeah, her last scene was really dope. I loved the Kurt Russell stuff was really good. The whole cast is kind of I thought the cast blended well. Although I wouldn't say this is the best Tarantino movie, but I do think it's really entertaining, and it just shows something a little bit different. So I was with it. Yeah, I was with it. Anything else on the Hateful Eight want to add?
Nope, that's all.
Okay, my number 9 is Sicario. Number 9 is Sicario. Denis Villeneuve. He follows up. Was he? He just did Prisoners. Yeah, he did Prisoners. Yeah, he did. He's on Prisoners.
He also did a movie called Enemy.
He did Enemy. And that was just last. That was he's been doing movies. This is his 3rd consecutive year with a movie coming out.
Well, actually, Enemy was made a while ago, but there was some kind of problem that. They couldn't put it out right away.
Okay, because it was really. Yeah, because it was released in 2014. And I remember I almost got confused with Nightcrawler because Gyllenhaal came out with Nightcrawler and Enemy. They both came out last year. Yeah. But Villeneuve did Enemy, and then I think Tony Gilroy did Nightcrawler. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't mess those up. But that dude's been on. He's done some really kind of. He does really good job of painting he paints what an average world could look like from a different sort of perspective, and mean he could take a movie like Prisoners where it's just where he can make an area blue collar Pennsylvania look like just this horrid dreaded place. Okay, so what were your final what were your Star Wars opinions? Rick Beck gave me Star Wars thoughts before. I'm curious what your Star Wars thoughts were.
I feel like my thoughts echo a lot of people's. It was so much fun. Mm-hmm. There was clearly a lot of love and care put in behind the movie. The one qualm that I had, I feel like a lot of people had, was it felt like a retread of New Hope.
Okay, that was probably the biggest complaint I've heard from that too.
But part of me is almost okay with that, because I have the idea that
It felt necessary.
Yeah, it felt like they were kind of resetting our expectations. It's still a fun movie by itself, but I think they were like, this was all resetting the stage for what happens next, and I am really excited, genuinely excited for episode 8, because one of my favorite directors of all time, Rian Johnson, is directing it. For those of you who don't know him right off the bat, he directed The Brothers Bloom.
Yes.
He directed Brick, and he directed Looper.
Yes.
All very, very solid, well-made movies.
I know how much you love Brick, so...
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So I can understand if you're all for that. I thought the movie, was very entertaining. I loved the... Again, it did feel like they needed to kind of almost reset the series and kind of reintroduce new audience members to it, because that's really what it was for. It did feel it felt like a reintroduction project, but it was the best possible one made, and there were some good characters. I thought the character of Ray was pretty interesting and developed and compelling, and I think the world was well reestablished, and yeah, it was a great setup movie.
Oh yeah, Daisy Ridley. That's
Daisy Ridley, yes.
She did a great job. John Boyega.
John Boyega's awesome.
He did a great job.
That dude was funny. I liked the storm. I'll just never forget the stormtrooper with the blood across his face.
Oh, yeah. I think that might have been the first time we saw blood in this entire franchise.
Pretty much. Like, oh, good, actual blood. Yes, people do bleed. I guess people do bleed in other planets and shit like that. So it's good. Number 8, we are going away from the theaters into Netflix. It's Beasts of No Nation is my number 8.
I haven't seen that, but I've heard so many great things. I'm going to.
Dude,
I just haven't sat down.
Folks, it is. I will tell you, it is. It's haunting. It's upsetting. It's creepy. It's all these things and more. But Cary Fukunaga, who helped direct the first season of True Detective, and he did a movie I really liked a long time ago called Sin Nombre. I think that was his first movie. So I was really into that. So yeah, but pretty much this boy gets his family is killed, and then Idris Elba takes him in as like a child soldier. And so he's pretty much like a forced child soldier. So he's like he has guns and all that stuff. Idris Elba is like this kind of creepy, kind of like he's the creepy the captain of all these children, and it's just like it just shows like this weird kind of war. It just shows you that war can have the effect on people of all ages too, and it's just like it can mature you, it can mess with your head, and there may not be and it's very possible to forget or almost forget what your life was before war. So it just shows you like that kind of hanging balance to it. And Idris Elba, who unfortunately did not get a supporting actor nod, that was part of the Oscar controversy that we'll go into a little bit. They'll go into later on, but he was excellent. He was quite excellent in the role. So if it's on Netflix, might be the most accessible movie to get right now on this list. You just go on Netflix and press play. But no, Beast of No Nation, number 8, just great movie.
All right, I gotta watch that.
Yeah. Continue.
All right, for me, number 7 was The Big Short. It was really good writing, great directing, great acting. But on the directing, I get the sense that Adam McKay, this is a thing he feels passionately about. Like, you remember, did he do The Other Guys?
Yes, he did.
That also had, like, a very, like,
Yes, I remember...
financial Ponzi scheme kind of, like...
tones to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whereas this really focuses on it. I'm glad to see... I feel like, he's a director that we all kind of like because he's made so many He's
made so many fun, like, good, like, funny movies. It's good to see him do something that...
a little more grown up, I guess.
He uses his talents to tell a more grown-up and kind of a more reality-stricken kind of film that everyone can relate to.
Oh,
that it can affect everyone.
That's the most important point about this movie, I think, is that it takes this incredibly complicated issue, the collapse of the stock market and who was at fault, and boils it down for you in a way that doesn't treat you like you're stupid, but it makes you understand what all these things are.
It makes you understand. Yes. It makes you understand what it's supposed to mean, and I actually do appreciate how, at least the need, because I feel like Adam McKay needed to understand why what happened to the economy in 2008 was just so messed up.
Yeah.
And how it could have been prevented, and just how awful it was, and how much of a long time coming that was going to happen. Like, at this rate, folks, you're going to ruin the economy like this, and lo and behold, that's what happened. We were there freshman at Pace when the economy.
Oh yes.
When the economy pretty much collapsed on its face, and then right near Wall Street, which is so funny. You got people at Pace trying to go to business school, and you got to think, and right down the street from their future, there is none, because people are protesting, and Wall Street might as well be burned to the ground. So, so that was quite the scene. So I'm good. All right, number 7 for me is one of the more uncomfortable films I've sat through in a while, and just in terms of especially in terms of space, no pun intended. But number 7 is Room.
Yeah. All right. I saw where you were going.
It was
with that.
claustrophobic. I was like, yeah. So in terms of very very claustrophobic movie, all puns intended. Every pun. I want more puns being intended. Every pun intended in the book. Room I thought was spectacular. One of the Oscar surprises was that it got nominated for Best Director. Yeah. And I think props to Lenny Abramson. I messed up that dude's name, but you guys understand. Lenny Abramson is the director's name. Brie Larson, I've been watching her more and more the past few years. Dude, she might be becoming one of my favorite actresses.
Yeah, I feel like she's gonna pretty soon. So I think she's hitting the Winter's Bone part of her career for that Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes, and hopefully they won't overdo her.
They did for Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh my god! That was one of the few things I'm I really hope that they don't overdo the Jennifer Lawrence thing, and it has nothing to do with the talents of Jennifer Lawrence, because what gets lost is that she actually is a really good actress. But you keep putting her in all these random movies, and you keep giving her these awards, and you're just going to turn people off. She got nominated for Joy, and nobody knows why. I heard the movie was awful.
Yeah,
or at least I heard it. Maybe I shouldn't say whole. I heard it wasn't as good as the other films.
Well, it could be that she did a perfectly good job. I didn't see.
It sounded like she did a good job. It sounded like her performance looked pretty good in the trailer.
But that could be the same reason, why Concussion didn't get anything. Because no matter how good Will Smith did, if the movie was bad, it's not going to get any recognition.
And that's all about it. But that's all that matters. And that's not the case for Brie Larson. She actually proves that you need to be. The material has to be there, and this came from a very popular book. Her and her son are trapped in a room. The basic lighting of it was kind of the creepiness of it.
They looked like they'd been kept in a bunker.
Kept in a bunker, and it was pretty upsetting. And it was just oh my, and it's they live, and it's and these people are actually living like that, and how she has to explain what the difference is between television and reality, and how she really has to explain it, because that guy has this kid has no idea.
Yeah,
and this kid's been led for 5 years that this is life, and it's just this crazy. It's sad. It's sad, but it's quite I thought it was quite remarkable. Brie Larson is excellent in the movie. The kid that plays the little boy, I thought
he's very good.
He was really good. That kid will have he'll make things. He'll have a good future.
Room didn't make my list. And I just wanted to. It was a good movie. I'm never gonna watch it again. It's not enjoyable. It's one of those movies that you don't sit down to watch to be now that I've seen it, I don't really. I felt the same way about the movie Brooklyn, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Which also didn't make my list.
Sure.
A good movie.
It did make my list, but Brooklyn, I thought that was good. But that was surprising. That was better than I thought.
Even I thought it would be worse than what I got. But still, both of those movies, it was. I suppose I should just be ranking these on, what was the best form of the art, but like a big part of whether or not I'm recommending a movie for me is just if I enjoyed myself while I was watching it, and I didn't in the room. And maybe that was the point, but still.
Yeah, okay. Not fair shakes. Fair shakes. But Room, I hope Room does well. I hope she wins Best Actress. I thought she was really good here. So, take us to number 6, Robbie.
My number 6 is Mad Max.
That was pretty high.
Yeah.
Pretty high on the list, yeah.
For two reasons, and it's the two reasons that everybody loves the movie, is the action and stunts are all, like, done in real life, and there was, again, clearly a lot of, like, heart and effort put into making this movie. That made it a really fun action movie. But one of the things that I loved was it was basically a feminist movie. And that came out of nowhere and still really worked for the story. Like, the main, like, the title character, Tom Hardy, playing Mad Max, or whatever his name is, like, he was really good in it, and was definitely a big part of the movie, but the heart, like, the character, the soul of the movie was Furiosa.
I think that was an excellent poll because they already knew that Mad Max was an established brand. They knew people would actually go back, but it really was. George Miller was really telling a whole different story.
Yeah, about, like, what life would be like for women in the wasteland, and them, like, standing up for themselves.
Fury Road?
Yeah.
I thought the title was excellent. I actually just watched it again. Last time you guys were down, we watched it again, and I actually had a lot more appreciation for it. Very symbol. One of the more symbolic action films. I think you'll see. I think that's why the critics went so nuts for it. I think this has probably been the critics' favorite. Most critics have said this is their favorite film.
Oh yeah, and it's won a lot of awards for best movie of the year.
It's won some awesome. It's won a lot of technical accolades.
And there's a chance it could win Best Picture tonight.
I think. I mean
tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Yeah. Tonight. No, tomorrow. I think Mad Max is like, there's 8 films nominated. I think Mad Max is on the 4 that could win.
Yeah.
There's 4 that's like, and we'll get to that. There's 4 movies that aren't going to win. There's 4 movies I think I do have a chance winning, but and that's why I told you before when they announced the nods, I'm like, I think Mad Max has a bigger chance than people might realize.
Yeah.
Mad Max was good, man. Mad Max was very good. Actually, excuse me. Actually, it was number 12 for me. So that was actually my favorite action movie of the year.
Okay.
I think that was probably the best action movie of the year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. Alrighty. Number 6 for me is Ex Machina.
Ah.
Dude, Ex Machina was what I wanted Spielberg's AI to be.
Yep. That is the perfect way to say it.
I'm like, you know what? I really wish this was AI. Instead of that 2.5 hour thing that Spielberg did back in 2001 that had just a lot going on.
In fairness to Spielberg, he was picking up after Stanley Kubrick.
Sure, and he had to sort of match that sort of ambition, whereas this feels like an entirely new approach. But no, with Ex Machina, you have a really basic, and I like the questions that they asks about, can machines think for themselves? Can they have human traits, and can they act how humans act in terms of desires, making decisions, like how can that be the case? So I thought the movie did a excellent job of at least kind of raising those questions, raising that sort of awareness of how far technology can go, how far the people who make technology are they in the right mindsets? Are they doing it for good? Like how can this be done for the best possible use? I think Ex Machina does a excellent job of kind of raising that awareness. I liked Domhnall Gleeson and Alicia Vikander is the robot. And I thought all their sessions were just like interesting, compelling. I thought the editing was really good. I saw it earlier this year. I saw it earlier in the year, and I actually watched it again because I wanted to make sure like I didn't forget anything. And man, it was, as a sci-fi film, that was That's what I would actually watch several times. Several times over. Yeah, it was that good. So Ex Machina, great script, great concept, felt very fresh and original. And again, had that been AI, and that movie had been artificial intelligence in 2001, I would have loved it. So number 6, Ex Machina. All right, so take us home to the top 5.
All right, we're getting into the top 5, and my number 5 is Chirac.
Wow!
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Nice.
I feel like I might have undersold
You liked it slightly more. You liked it twice as much as I did. Literally.
Yeah. A lot of it is the way it's written. I don't think it's actually iambic pentameter, but there's clearly some kind of rhyming syllabic scheme. Mm-hmm. I thought that was great. I thought it raised some very valid points. It wasn't just a tirade. Part of me was worried that it would be, oh well, white people caused all these problems.
Yeah.
It was, it took a long hard look at that kind of culture. The ending was a little heavy-handed. A lot of Spike Lee's movies are kind of uneven, especially in tone.
Absolutely.
You can have a scene where a mother's scrubbing the blood of her daughter off a sidewalk, and then 5 minutes later, you're in a strip club watching a fat guy dance with himself.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
that sounds about right. Yeah.
The things that are played for gags, right? And it's really fun, and I would definitely watch it again.
It's because I guess it's every emotion that you could possibly be feeling. It's every emotion Spike was feeling at the time he presented that to you.
Yeah, it's a movie about. It's almost like a poetic essay.
Yeah.
About gang warfare, and
I think Robbie. I think that was the whole point for Chirac. So I think you hit the nail around the head.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent way. That's an excellent way to close that. My number 5 is Dope.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Dope was really good. Rick Famuyiwa, his name's a little tricky to pronounce, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is. He's directed a lot of African American centered films. He made, I believe he did The Wood back in '99. He made Brown Sugar, which is another good hip hop film, and Dope feels like a hip hop film of the current age because it has it feels like Friday mixed with any other of these black '90s movies, and it has touches of Superbad in it. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it doesn't feel like a quintessential black only film, but it is set in it's set in amongst black communities. It's set in inner Los Angeles around by gangs, but these are also. But the main characters are very smart, well educated, well presented people, and they're kids, and they feel like modern kids too, and they're obsessed with '90s hip hop culture. So the movie has this kind of fun throwback '90s feel, and there's a lot of '90s tones and kind of '90s callbacks, especially with some of the actors that were in a lot of these '90s black films. And it's funny,
it's
man.
a nostalgia movie.
It does feel like a nostalgia movie, and especially with a kid trying to get out of the hood type of film, it does have that sort of nostalgia to it too. But I do think it puts a new spin on it, and it works, man. I think it's really funny. I think it's really funny. I think it has a lot to say about how the power that a youth can have to sort of change his life and the effect that he can have on other people. It's just a good youth empowerment sort of success type of driven film. Mm-hmm. And I think Dope actually really went on all cylinders in that. And again, the movie is just a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think you'll like Dope a lot. It's actually on Netflix.
Okay,
you should watch that. Yeah, Dope was really, really good. So that's number 5.
Okay.
Number 4.
Number 4 for me, and I kind of struggled where to put this on my list. Mm-hmm. And even now I'm not even sure. Mm-hmm. But I wrote it, here it is Spotlight. It's
good.
Hard to break down why I like it so much, because I did feel it was a little... dull sounds like such a negative word to say.
But yeah, but okay, I totally understand you because it may feel dull, but it's not dull.
Yeah.
Like it's not dull in any sense of the means, but it may look dull because it's just how they're presented.
Yeah.
It's how the characters are presented. They're doing their jobs.
Yeah, it's a very slow... Yeah, it's like they're slowly
research.
finding out a thing that we all already know.
Research isn't exactly, research isn't exactly they took the least interesting part of any sort of find, and they highlighted the research part.
Well,
and they made research more compelling, I feel like.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. More compelling, I guess, is an argument, but...
Yeah.
Like, there's a scene where they find a whole bunch of, like, just a list of priests somewhere. Mm-hmm. And they're, like... And it's so exciting. It's such a big thing for the movie, and it's just 3 people standing in a dimly lit basement.
Yes.
Like, thumbing through these big, like phone book kind of things.
Mm-hmm. It did have that feel. It did have like that kind of more real, like, hey, this is just kind of,
yeah,
this is us. Yeah, it did have that.
I have a soft spot for journalism movies, which is probably why this is so high on my list.
Sure, that's fine.
Michael Keaton did a great job as always. Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, he was quite the standout. I liked his. What do you think of his whole vibe? He felt weird. Like he felt of his whole presentation, like how he talked, his hair. Like, his whole look in that movie. How'd you feel about that?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like there's something that was either left out of the movie, like, cut out, or, like, it was in an earlier draft or something. Because there's 2 things. They talk about, one, that he is either married or had, like, a serious girlfriend who had left him. Mm-hmm. Or they were still working things through or something.
Yeah.
They mention it briefly and then move on. Which might be, like, just a nice little character detail. Except later, when Mark Ruffalo's character is talking to Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci asks him what part of Boston he's from. He says a place, like East Boston or whatever.
Yeah, it was East Boston.
Yeah, and Stanley Tucci doesn't believe him. He's like, you don't talk like you're from there. And that's just kind of the end of it.
Interesting, yeah. They didn't want him to make him look like there was something off to him. Mm-hmm. I thought it could have been they didn't say this in the movie or anything, but I thought they were trying to hint that he could have been a victim.
That's what I was a little afraid of, that they were gonna, like...
I was a victim too! Yeah.
Suddenly one of the main characters in the movies reveals that they're also... Mm-hmm. They did do something like that. Not that I want to spoil it, but it was very well done, and it in an original enough way that made me go, okay, yeah, I'm okay with it. Like, there's a way that they connected one of the main characters personally with the story. Yeah. That made sense.
And I thought that actually, and I liked how they did that through several people. Like you find out with Michael Keaton, whether there's arguments are put up about whether Keaton knew about this a long time ago and whether or not he could have done something about it then. Rachel McAdams, her aunt, her grandmother or her aunt, I believe, like you see her family member. She's a big churchgoer. We see, you see victims. You see old victims like 30 years, like 20 or 30 years later, and it shows you how they're affected as adults, which I thought was pretty. There's a line. You know what? I don't want to get too much into it. For now,
we gotta roll.
Sorry, yeah. My number 4 was Inside Out.
Oh, okay. That's the only thing you've said so far that I patently disagree with.
I think Inside Out as a movie that documents feelings, emotions, and how each emotion is important to your own personal growth. That's just how it felt to me, man. Pixar. I thought they really hit the nail on the head. Inside Out, I really did.
No, I know this was one of the Pixar movies. Some of the Pixar movies, the best ones, are like it's like everybody of any age can enjoy it. This one to me felt like it was really focused on like preteens.
Okay.
Because I feel I'm not saying
we were all
girls.
Yeah. It didn't feel like it could have just been women too.
Well, not even women, because I feel like the girl was like specifically kind of androgynous. Like she's definitely a girl, but I'm pretty sure she had a boy's name. She played hockey. It was supposed to be a little more like you know, you're growing up, this is how it's going to look like. But it felt so... Like, I thought there was going to be more of, not a moral, but like more of a lesson.
Okay. And I thought, you know, I felt like that's when, towards the end, how they bring up the sad, you know, like, and I feel like they did that, though. I did feel like they did that, in my opinion.
Honest, to me, the whole, all emotions are equally important thing was kind of a cop-out. I felt like they could have, like, taught kids a real lesson about, like, mental health, mental hygiene. I'm not talking about, like mentally crazy people. I'm talking about, like, you know, keeping your own thoughts in check.
I'll be honest, I felt that was there, but, you know, I guess we will respectfully agree to disagree.
Okay.
That is fine. So that was number 4 for me. All right, top 3, number 3.
These are the 3 movies that I actually really, really liked.
Okay.
They were the only ones that I was pretty sure going in that I knew they were going to be in 1 through 3.
Sure.
3 for me was Ex Machina.
Ah, sweet.
We already covered that a bit. The only thing that I really want to add is the whole concept of like when does a machine become human? Like, when is it artificial intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
And the movie does explore that, and I feel that's not an uncommon thing in science fiction.
Sure.
But what I think was kind of different and interesting for me, and I'm not going to give anything away for the ending, but she doesn't really even get what she wants. She doesn't succeed, really, until she lies. It's not until she lies that she, like, air quotes, becomes human.
Yes. That was it.
Which is, like, kind of an interesting...
You're absolutely right. That was a pretty interesting choice that they... That's a good thing that you pointed out. That just about, like, human behavior.
Yeah. And,
yes, that worked out well. Number 3 for me is Creed.
Okay.
Yeah, I love... no secret, I'm a huge fan of the Rocky movies, but I think the best thing about Creed is that it takes... Of the 6 sequels that preceded the original Rocky 40 years ago, Creed comes the closest of having the same heart emotion and the same, you know, strong impact as the first one. It honestly, Creed is the best Rocky since Rocky. So it was that good. Stallone completely changed his whole character perception as like an awesome... Because Stallone takes the more training role now. And I think as like a side character, I thought he was actually really well used. So I think the movie does a great job of maintaining the Rocky universe, but telling a fresh story. And so it took a much needed change in that franchise. So that's all I'm gonna say about that with Creed. Excellent movie. 2.
2 for me was Bridge of Spies.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I really liked it because it's Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. You know, it's gonna be a certain level of quality. It's not gonna be bad. But I will say this is a bit of indulgent of me. I really picked it because I love this era that they talk about. Mm-hmm. And I felt like the movie flowed and paced very well.
The pacing was awesome.
Never bored.
It felt like fresh Spielberg. It felt like Spielberg had it felt something fresh and new from him.
Yeah, like you could tell it was a Spielberg movie, but I feel like lately a lot of it has been, oh man, it's another Spielberg movie.
I liked that he tried to change up his own style. At least not drastically, but at least freshen up. It's just somewhat freshen up his style a bit.
Yeah.
Even, take that traditional style. Just add a little more punch to it. I thought he did that. I thought he did that well.
And I like that he took a step back from doing like traditional Holocaust movies, and instead, like the back half of the movie is set in Germany after the Nazis fell. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that was a really, really interesting time. Like everybody knows about the fall of the Berlin Wall. But this, like, it doesn't deal with it. It's just kind of a backdrop. The Berlin Wall is being built while they're there.
Yeah, absolutely.
He gets the tone and the atmosphere. Just, it's a solid movie all around.
Oh, good. And the reason why I wanted to cut off from Spotlight before is because Spotlight is actually my number 2 movie.
Oh, okay.
Again, all the reasons why you liked it. There was a scene in the beginning that shows... The scene in the beginning, with the flashback scene, I just thought like that was an excellent way of showing just how this issue was dealt with back then, and that's why it was allowed to exist. This sort of Catholic priest issue, because it just shows you how long ago it's trickled back from. Excellent research. I thought the supporting cast. I love the cast. Mm-hmm. I like Liv Schreiber as the boss. I like Michael Keaton. I loved Stanley Tucci. I thought did a really good job. And I liked how almost standoffish he was. I'm like, don't even write this down. Like, stop. Let go. I thought Stanley Tucci did a great job of playing the defense for as long as for as long as the situation would let him. Excellent. There's one line. I think there's the one line that speaks up to me from Spotlight is he goes like a victim goes, and you'll see this in the trailer. When you're a poor kid from a poor family and a priest pays attention to you, that means something. So I just thought like that whole statement right there is why all that behavior, all that went under the rug. So
yeah, it's a movie about abuse of power. Abuse of power,
yeah, and taking advantage of trust.
Yeah,
and that's just how that kind of works. So Robbie, before you give me your number one, just run through your 10 through 2 for the record.
Okay, 10 is The Martian, 9 is Hateful Eight. 8 is Star Wars. 7 is The Big Short. 6 is Mad Max. 5 is Chirac. 4 is Spotlight. 3 is Ex Machina. 2 is Bridge of Spies. And the number one movie for me was Sicario.
Yes, alright, Sicario.
That movie was. I know
we talked about it, but what was that one thing that solidified that number one spot?
It wasn't even one thing. It was 3 things that stood out just like so much that it made the movie basically perfect in my eyes. Mm-hmm. The first was the directing.
Yeah.
Dennis Villeneuve. I can't. I'm
not
even gonna try.
I think it's Villeneuve.
Okay.
Yeah.
He knows how to direct like this sense of like foreboding, like. You don't know what's going on, but you know it's not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And Emily Blunt being thrust into this world, she was fine in it. But in my opinion, the best acting in the movie was done by Benicio del Toro.
That dude was pretty badass. He was pretty badass.
He was badass, but also. I don't want to say vulnerable, but you saw the cracks.
That last interaction with Emily Blunt. At the end.
Oh yeah,
we'll go to it, but just like they have their final scene together was just. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. So that was very well put.
Then the last thing was the cinematography.
Yes,
the way that movie is beautiful to look at. So the story is great, the atmosphere is great, the acting is great. It's fun to watch, and it's very tight and precise.
Excellent, man. Alrighty. So I'll run through my 10 through 2 real quick. 10 is Chirac from Spike Lee. 9 is Sicario. 8 is Beasts of No Nations. 7 is Room. 6 is Ex Machina. 5 is Dope. 4 is Inside Out. 3 is Creed. 2 is Spotlight. And my favorite movie of 2015 was The Big Short. Again, effective comedy. I liked the style of editing. I liked everything felt. I'm a big fan of movies where the stakes feel big, and that did feel like a big stakes movie because it was just like the history of our country. Excellent structure of storytelling. I liked everything about it. To me, it's what The Wolf of Wall Street could have been had they had focused more on the actual problems that they cause as opposed to the more personal issues.
Right.
So to me, it did feel like a better. It felt like a better version of Wolf of Wall Street for me. Mm-hmm. The Wolves of Wall Street, I guess. If you want to think plural, but no. I think hopefully The Big Short has a solid chance, but I think as a document of what happened to the economy and how people take advantage of the American dream, and we wind up getting a nightmare. I hate to sound cute, but that's what happened, and I think the title. I thought the title was excellent just in terms of what they're actually trying to do.
Oh, and I will give you that, because at first The Big Short, I was like, what is that supposed to be, some kind of cute funny? But they actually talk about shorting the stock,
shorting this, and that's what we needed.
Yeah,
right? And it was, and so I thought the title was actually really smart. Just a fantastic movie. Loved every second of it, and that's the top 5. I mean, that's the top. Those are the top movies. Our top 10 lists. So thank you for that. We'll be right back with some Oscar predictions. Stay tuned. We're going to run through some quick Oscar predictions. We don't have too much time, but the Oscars are, as of this recording, the Oscars are tomorrow, February 28th, hosted by Chris Rock. A whole bunch of us are coming. We can try and get a post-show. Robbie, how long are you going to be around? How long are you in town for? When are you going back to Syracuse?
Monday. I'm going back.
Like Monday morning? Is it like an afternoon thing? Because I'll be around. I'm sure.
I'm trying to be on my way around noon.
Okay, all right. So we might have a few hours in the morning. Okay, we'll see. All right. So we may have like an Oscar reaction show, but if we can't do the reaction show, we're going to give you our very quick predictions. I'll run through some of the bigger categories. I'll ask Robbie, will win, should win. Mm-hmm. Will win, should win, and that's all. We did that last year, and I think we can do it.
Yeah, we don't have to go through each.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here are the nominees for adapted screenplay. That's what we're going to start off with. We got The Big Short. We have Brooklyn. We have Carol. We have The Martian. And we have Room. These are all adapted screenplays. They were books first, whatever have you. I think that The Big Short will and should win. Now, Robbie, what do you think?
I actually agree.
Yeah. Okay, good. Excellent. So The Big Short will and should win. Okay.
Having said that, I haven't seen Carol.
I saw Victoria and I saw Carol a few weeks ago. She dug it. She liked it. Not for me. Just not my not my demo. That's what my mother always says. It's not in your demo. So, but she liked it. So that was fine. Okay, original screenplay. These are actually the easier ones to predict. Original screenplay: Bridge of Spies, Ex Machina, Inside Out, Spotlight, and the very appeasing Strand of Compton. I was very happy that Strand of Compton was just in there, just because, but it's not going to win. I think Spotlight again will win.
I think Spotlight will win and should win. I think it could. I think it would go. I wouldn't be upset if it went to any of Spotlight, Bridge of Spies, or Ex Machina.
Okay.
Any three of those, I think, has a decent chance. Like, they did a good enough job for my...
That's a fair shake. That is an excellent shake. So that's good. That is good. Alrighty, this is where things get a little... I wouldn't say too... I don't know, we're not getting hairy yet, but I'm a little interested in this. This is actress in a supporting role. I honestly can't really... This one's going to be kind of tough to predict. Between Best Supporting Actresses, Jennifer Jason Leigh in The Hateful Eight, Rooney Mara for Carol, Rachel McAdams for Spotlight, Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl, I'll get back to her in a second, and then Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs. Now, Kate Winslet won the Golden Globe for Steve Jobs, but although I don't think that's going to factor in here, I do think... I thought Jennifer Jason Leigh was going to have some love, but I don't think that's the case anymore. And I don't see Rachel McAdams winning. So I think it's either going to be Alicia Vikander or Rooney Mara. But Alicia Vikander this is for The Danish Girl, but she also was an Ex Machina, so I guess it could be like a dual thing. I think I really liked Rooney Mara and Carol, so I think she actually should win. But this is going to be different. I think Alicia Vikander will win for The Danish Girl only because she won the SAG. But honestly, dude, it's kind of a toss-up, though. I wouldn't even say she's guaranteed to win it, Alicia Vikander.
Yeah.
If she won the SAG, I wouldn't. Like, I don't think it's a guarantee for her.
I feel like most categories this year are going to be a toss-up.
Yeah, so I think Alicia Vikander will win just because of what's happened in the past. But I think Rooney Mara should win. I thought she actually was really good in that. But what do you, based on what you could kind of muster up here?
I can't. I mean, I only saw 2 of these.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's
so I can't really weigh in that. Actually, I'm going to abstain. I have no idea who's going to win this.
You know what?
I don't even know who should win.
Actually, dude, yeah. You know what? It's actually that could be fine. If I'm putting some money on it, I think Alicia Vikander might get it, but she's kind of new too. Rooney Mara's been around for a while. I don't know. This one's Kate Winslet won something already. I don't know. This one's a little hard, but I think Alicia Vikander wins for the Danish Girl. That's just my guess. All right, best supporting actor. I like this a little bit more.
Oh, this is a good list.
This is actually a solid contendership. Best actor supporting role: Christian Bale for The Big Short, Tom Hardy for The Revenant, which we didn't really talk about that much. It wasn't in either of our lists, but we'll get to it, I guess, in a second. Mark Ruffalo for Spotlight, Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies. That was actually kind of a nice one to see.
Yeah.
And Sylvester Stallone for Creed. Whew, this is tough. I would love to see Stallone take it here, mainly for nostalgia reasons. I thought, mainly because when you look back on it, The Revenant was not my favorite movie, even though Tom Hardy was very good on that. I thought Mark Ruffalo was solid. Mark Ruffalo could upset it with Spotlight. He could probably be an upset here. Mark Rylance, he's other potential. There's like 2 upsets. Like I don't see Tom Hardy or Christian Bale winning, for some reason. And I think Mark Ruffalo and Mark Rylance could be upsets, but I think Stallone will and should for this year.
Okay.
For this year, just to get out of the system. I would like to see it, and I think he has a chance to see it.
I'm pretty sure Stallone isn't going to win.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think he. All right. I think he's been the guy. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
now, what do you think, dude?
I think Mark Ruffalo will win. I think Tom Hardy should win.
Really? Okay.
I think Tom Hardy was one of the best parts of The Revenant.
Yes.
And it's not a bad movie. Like you said, it's not on either of our lists.
Yeah, but it's not a bad film at all.
But there are issues with it. But Tom Hardy was not one of them. Tom Hardy was a shining star in that movie.
Tom Hardy was he was quite good. So
Mark Ruffalo did do a really good job too, and does deserve it. I just think Tom Hardy should win.
I will say I don't think Stallone. I don't think he has it in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
But there just seems to be a lot of love for that movie, and maybe because it's so competitive, it's almost because all these other 4 guys are so competitive, they almost even might want to go with an easier, safer one, just like all right, let's just give it to Stallone just so he has it, and then
nobody gets,
and then these guys that way next year everyone it can be like a full playing field.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this is partly going to be a nostalgia win for Stallone, which I am okay with. I love the Rocky movies, but this is actually a really competitive list, and I don't think it should be. I don't think it's guaranteed. Alrighty, we're going to Best Actress. Let's go to Best Actress here. Best Leading Actress. The new Meryl Streep, Kate Blanchett, and Carol.
Yeah.
She really Meryl Streep is nowhere on this. You see what happens when you don't nominate Meryl Streep every year. You get a fresh, still pretty white, but you get a fresh Oscar list here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a brief second. Kate Blanchett for Carol, she was nominated. Brie Larson for Room. Jennifer Lawrence, we just talked about this, for Joy. Charlotte Rampling, who got her foot caught in her mouth a few weeks ago for 45 years, and Saoirse Ronan for Brooklyn. The reason why I said about Charlotte Rampling is because she just said, with this whole Oscar so white thing, she was just saying that black people you can't just give Oscars to black people. She said what we said before.
Right.
But I guess everyone how dare you say something that didn't support the cause fully, So she kind of got in trouble with that. This is the acting list here. Kate Blanchett, and Brie Larson might be the two legit contenders. Mm-hmm. I don't see Jennifer Lawrence winning. I don't see Saoirse Ronan winning for Brooklyn. Charlotte Rampling definitely isn't winning after her Oscar comment.
Yeah.
So either Kate or Brie. I think Brie will and should.
I think Brie will, but I think I can't even pronounce her name. Saoirse Ronan.
Oh, Saoirse. Or
you know who we're talking about.
Saoirse Ronan, the girl from The Lovely Bones. The Lovely Bones, that's her name.
Oh, that's where she's from.
That should be her name. No.
The woman who's nominated for Brooklyn, I think she should win.
She was actually really good. All right, that's it. All right, so you have a nice, good little split here. All righty. Boy. Best actor. All righty. Bryan Cranston for Trumbo. Matt Damon for The Martian. Eddie Redmayne, last year's winner, for The Danish Girl. I don't see a repeat here. Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs and The Little Boy That Could. The little boy that keeps going and going and going and going and going. The fifth nominee is, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio for The Revenant. Oh boy. I just want to see Leo win just so that this could be put to bed.
Yeah.
Can they just give it to him? Because it'll be annoying if he doesn't win, because then you'll just get another year of him not winning. Like, you'll just get another year of that. Just give him the Oscar. Just give him the Oscar. Move on. It's annoying. The dude's... I believe he's 0-5.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's 0-5.
At least.
He's 0-5. He's 0-5. He wasn't good enough for Gilbert Grape. He wasn't good enough for The Departed. Wasn't good enough for The Wolf of Wall Street. Wasn't good enough for Blood Diamond. I'm pretty sure he was nominated for The Departed. Was he nominated for The Departed? No, he was not. He was nominated for something else.
Django. Gangs of New York.
And no, he was definitely nominated for Django. He lost for Django.
Yeah,
was he up for Gangs of New York?
I thought he was up for Gangs.
This dude, okay. But this dude's been just throwing gutter, just always losing. I don't know why they don't like him. They don't like the roles he chooses. But I do think Leo in The Revenant, I think this would be a good one for him to win for. He got mauled by a bear, for crying out loud. Just give him... the guy got attacked by a bear. Just give him the Oscar. I mean, honestly, the only real competition he might have is Fassbender for Steve Jobs. But I think Leo finally gets it here. And just give it to him. Not even Will and should. Just give him it. Just give him the Oscar. Alrighty.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you. Leonardo DiCaprio. It's just time, and I feel like nobody else on this, like Bryan Cranston. I think he did a great job playing Dalton Trumbo. That was a lot of fun. Matt Damon kind of felt like a little like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't see Steve Jobs. I'm sure Michael Fassbender did a great job. And if Eddie Redmayne wins, I'm going to tear the TV out of the goddamn wall.
Oh, God. Please don't. But yes,
I really do not like him anything.
I was done with him last year when he stole Michael Keaton's Oscar. That's just how I felt about it. Alrighty. Directing. This is where things get interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Best Director. Our buddy, Adam McKay for The Big Short. George Miller, Mad Max Fury Road. Last year's reigning defending champion, Alejandro Iñárritu for The Revenant. Lenny Abramson for Room, which was the biggest surprise. And for all you Meet the Parents fans out there, Dr. Bob, a.k.a. Tom McCarthy for Spotlight. So, okay. Boy. So this is quite the list here for directing. And because here's the thing. Whoever wins is shocking.
Yeah.
Whoever is that? Oh, do you actually have a printout? You have a yeah. Oh, we should put some money. No, maybe not money. We should actually pull it. We should legit. I might legit try and predict them this year.
Okay.
Actually, get a printable list and see if I'm right.
We'll have time beforehand. We'll get everybody's picks.
Oh my god, yes, that'd be actually kind of fun. All right. So these are the best directing ones. Okay. And when doing this, couple notes. When they announced the best directing one list on Oscar morning, right? When they said that Room was getting one of the nominations, the crowd looked actually stunned. So yeah. I thought that was like a side thing. So you really gotta go trial and error here, because as much as we would love to see it, The Big Short, I don't see Adam McKay getting it.
Me neither.
And however, and in terms of who could actually win, and I don't see Room getting it either. just just too young, just too. I don't see room winning it. I think, and I think the real contenders here might be Spotlight, The Revenant, or Mad Max. I think Mad Max has a legit dark horse chance. However, and this is going to be my first split, I think, this is hard. But based on how I rank the movies, I think Adam McKay should win for the Big Short. However, I do think we get a repeat of last year. I can't remember the last time we got a repeat. I don't think this might be the first time this could happen, but I think Alejandro Inarritu wins again for The Revenant.
I actually heartily disagree.
Okay.
And it's only for one specific reason. Mm-hmm. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but that he actually came out and said, like, I overdid it. Like,
really?
Yeah, like we went way too hard on this. I think
he said how hard he said how hard it was to get this thing made.
Yeah,
it was all natural daylight,
which
we've learned making a qualifying film that is hard to do.
Yeah, it is definitely hard to do. Applause for doing that, but you didn't have to.
No,
so
he did couldn't. Yeah, it felt it may felt a little over directed at times. The Revenant.
Yeah.
But I just think because he won the Directing Guild Award. Spotlight has gotten the Writers Guild Award. Spotlight won the Writers Guild Award, excuse me. And then the Revenant wins the Directing Guild. So remember, whoever wins the guild, those are usually more likely who actually wins. But again,
this year is such a toss-up.
Yeah, I honestly do. I think with this show, I don't even know if you even go with the same tropes. I can honestly see them like just having just making surprises.
Yeah,
because if Inarritu does this, it'll be the first time that's ever happened. I'm pretty sure that that director has won back to back.
I don't know. That could be. I highly doubt it.
Okay.
But I think
this could be a pretty big night. A pretty big category then.
I think Spotlight will win, and you know what? What the hell? I think Mad Max should win.
Okay, that's fair.
George Miller did a really good job on that movie.
That is fair. All right, and now with the craziest Best Picture, dude, I think Best Picture is harder to predict than usually Best Picture is like a puzzle piece by this point. If you can predict who's winning script in this, but if we can barely, the thing is, I don't know what's going to happen here. All right, so this is. Yeah, Best Picture is actually the most impossible one to predict this year.
Yeah.
Which is going to be crazy because I don't think it's going to match up.
No,
I don't think it's going to match up at all.
I agree. I think it'll be it's too...
Last year was refreshing because Birdman, you know what? I like it because Birdman was like an undisputed win.
Yeah.
Because like it won screenplay, directing, and picture. That's like, okay.
Because it was the best goddamn movie of the year.
Exactly. And cinematography too, which unfortunately we didn't really get a chance to go into cinematography here, but... you'll find out who just wins it tomorrow. So with Best Picture, what I'll do is I'll list all 8, but these are the 4 Best Picture films I think won't have not a snowball's chance in hell.
Yeah,
that's what I'll start off with. Okay, the unlikely winners. I could be eating. You never know, anything can happen, but I think these are pretty unlikely to win. Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, The Martian, and Room. Yeah. Those 4 are the ones that I don't see winning.
Those 4 are pretty definite that they won't win.
Yeah, Brooklyn. Yeah, if you have an Oscar poll, don't put any of those films on it because you'll probably lose. And versus the real 4, Mad Max Fury Road, The Big Short, The Revenant, and Spotlight. Now, I think The Big Short should win because it was my favorite movie of the year. Mm-hmm. So I would have to go with The Big Short. So I think The Big Short should win. And I feel confident that it could. So I think, as murky as it seems, I think The Big Short pulls it. Okay. I think it will win. I think it should win. So what are you thinking?
Honestly, I'm so split on this. I think... God, this is really hard to...
It's tough, dude.
I think should win is... I'm still just sitting here staring at this list. I have no... I'm going to abstain again.
Are you abstaining from Best Picture?
I have absolutely no idea who's going to win this.
And that could actually make for a good show, and I think we can leave it off at that. So, Robbie, thank you so much for another fun double episode, combined episode of our top 10 list and our Oscar predictions. This will be up as soon as possible. Thank you for listening. And if you're listening to this, it's still Saturday. It should still be Saturday. So that I have some work to do, but thank you guys very much for checking it out. This is the MTW Podcast. See you guys real soon.